corporates all across the world. He started teaching and preaching scientific meditation very actively from the last 15 years without any religious bias. And through different seminars, through different lectures and training workshops, he has been trying to make people aware about the importance of quality of life. He has been guiding and helping people to improve the quality of their life, both in personal and professional front, by helping them to practice meditation through scientific ways. On behalf of all of us, let us extend a very, very warm welcome to Jyotindra Zaveri.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar, sir. A very, very good morning to you and a warm welcome to you to the 19th episode of the Health Mitra Scientific Meditation channel, sir. Sir, we are going to discuss something very different on today's episode. Probably we don't talk, or I must say, we avoid talking about and we avoid talking about death. But, friends, every life cycle on this earth has to end someday. Everything that begins has an end. But this end has to be graceful as the beginning. Every human being, every living being, I would say, on this earth deserves a very graceful and a very dignified end. And every human being should be able to bid goodbye to this worldly life with grace and dignity. Every death deserves to be celebrated as we celebrate birth. We intend to, as I said in the beginning, we intend to sensitize ourselves, make ourselves aware on this very extraordinary topic, the art and science of death. Sir, I would like to begin this episode by asking you, why have you chosen this extraordinary topic for our today's session of Health with the Scientific Meditation channel?
Yeah, this is something very different. I wanted to talk because I saw this in my own family.
Okay.
मृत्यु निश्चित है, जिसका संयोग होता है वियोग निश्चित है. लेकिन हम सब आर्ट ऑफ साइंस और साइंस ऑफ लिविंग और ये सब बातें करते हैं, कैसे जीना चाहिए. लेकिन मैंने एक जो ऑब्जर्व किया, सीखा, वो है मरने के लिए. ये भी हमें समझना चाहिए और एज यू सेड ग्रेसफुली कैसे हम हमारी जर्नी पूरी करें. तो ये कहानी जो है ये मेरे पिताजी की है, माय ओन फादर. और इसलिए मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि ये एक एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी जर्नी थी जो हमने देखी. तो मेरे पिताजी के बारे में मैं दो बातें बताना चाहूँगा. एक तो है इसका प्रोफेशनल लाइफ और दूसरी है स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ.
ओके.
तो प्रोफेशनल लाइफ जो है इसमें हम बात करेंगे उसके व्यवसाय के बारे में, और स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ जो है उसमें बात करेंगे वो रिटायर होने के बाद में जो स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी किया. यस.
Jyotindra sir's father, Jethabhai Zaveri, he was the managing director of Bharat Bijli Limited, a company that he had founded in 1947. It is now a 928 crore turnover company today that manufactures motors and transformers. Jyotindra sir, as you said that Jethabhai Zaveri, he had a very successful professional life. He was an entrepreneur. And then during the later years of his life, he set himself on a spiritual journey. But before we talk about the latter part of his life, we would like to know about his professional background, his professional life, and how did he conduct himself as an entrepreneur?
जी. So we are basically from Bhuj, Kutch. He migrated from Kutch to Mumbai.
Okay.
And no money in the pocket. In 1933, He became engineer, and then in 1946 he started a company called Bharat Bijli Limited, and he
Okay.
was managing director of Bharat Bijli for 32 years, and very successful industry. In 1971, Financial Express published an article featuring him as leader of industry.
Great.
One very important thing was a milestone not only for Bharat Bijli but for the entire Indian electrical industry. He got technical collaboration from Siemens Germany.
Okay.
You see, in Germany, there is a company called Siemens. They also manufacture motors and transformers. But this is the first time in India someone got this kind of technical collaboration for
Okay.
manufacturing electric motors and transformers. And
Yes.
he was president of IMA, Indian Electrical Manufacturer Association. He was fellow of Indian Standards and many other professional achievement in the entire electrical industry. We had a factory at Sion near King Circle Station in Mumbai,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
later on the plant was moved to Kalwe. It's
Okay.
near Thana on 6th February 1975. And then my
Okay.
father retired in 1978.
Okay.
That's the professional background. And after retiring, he started practicing and teaching meditation system called Preksha Dhyan. That's
Okay.
the
Okay.
brief background.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. So he was a great entrepreneur during his times. And I think a very commendable thing that you mentioned that he was the first one from the electrical fraternity to collaborate with a foreign company and start manufacturing motors and transformers, as you said. The later part of his life, I think it is of more interest as far as today's episode is concerned. A great entrepreneur, and I think he was called as the Bhishma Pitamaha of the electrical industry and the electrical engineering fraternity. Indeed, a matter of pride for all of us, a matter of pride for the entire Indian society as well as the country. The latter part of his life, you said he retired in 1978, and he set up on a journey which was totally different from what he had done from 1946 to 1978, I should say. A very different life. He started with meditation, as you said, but then we would like to know, like, how was his spiritual journey? What was his spiritual journey like?
right. So you see, after he retired, our guru, our Acharya Sri Tulsi, uh, we went for darshan. And then he was asked, what do you want to do? He said, what do you want me to do? We have been doing a lot of work in the industry, but I want to do something for the community. Then one strange thing he said, our guru, Acharya Sri Tulsi, that you close your eyes and say, he said, no way. I have been active, I have been so dynamic. How can you ask me to just sit somewhere and close my eyes? He did that. He started practicing meditation. After a few years, he mastered the technique and then he started teaching meditation.
Okay.
He conducted thousands of shibir, Prekshadhyan shibir all over India and outside India.
Okay.
One very important thing I want to mention is that my brother renounced the materialistic world and he became a Jain monk, Muni Mahendra Kumar. So Muni Mahendra Kumar and my father, they wrote many books because no English literature is available. And Muni Mahendra Kumar knew many other languages, so they translated a lot of books in English and presented meditation from scientific point of view.
Okay.
There are books like Neuroscience and Karma. A lot of people discuss karma theory, but how it is related to our brain. So a book is written by my father and brother, that is Neuroscience and Karma. Another very
Okay.
interesting book was written is about microcosmology. Microcosmology is a book which talks about the atomic science. This is the book, and this book was recommended by the Bhandarkar Institute in Pune.
Okay,
Very
great.
high, the quality of research they have done. And I would like to also mention about this Sui Godo. This is the ancient scriptures, and this is 700 pages. This kind of books in English, so many books they have written, and my father has been, considered the uh, expert in explaining this in English, and that is how I also learned. And now I am trying to also follow the same method and explain this scientific meditation. That's what the brief journey started, Kirti.
Okay. So this is how he started on a spiritual journey. So he started with meditation, and you said that something very interesting, that we have always been thinking of meditation as something very spiritual, and we never thought that spirituality can have a scientific base. So Jethabai Zaveri was a pioneer in making people aware that spirituality has a scientific base, and meditation, when practiced in a scientific way, can help us to achieve dreams, can help us to achieve goals in life. So, moving forward with our discussion on this extraordinary topic that we have chosen for our 19th episode of Health with the Scientific Meditation channel, we are going to talk about the art and science of dying. And this is something that Jethabai Zaveri has shown to his entire community, as well as I would say to the entire society, that death is something that has to be achieved, because I think it is the a very important part of our life cycle. Everything that begins has to end. But this end has to be very dignified, this end has to be graceful, and it can be made graceful. So this is something that Jethabai Zaveri has shown through his own example to the people around him. I would like you to let us know how was his journey towards the end, and how did he part from all of us.
Right. As I mentioned, he was conducting a lot of meditation programs. Sometime it was 5 days, 7 days, and
Okay.
he'd been traveling. He became younger and younger after the age of 80. At the age
Okay.
of 84, he was not well. He was admitted to ICU in Mumbai,
Okay.
and the doctors, the surgeons, they came, checked. After a few days, they said that the days are numbered. Call all the family members. We are six brothers and sister. So I was in Pune, and then I traveled from Pune to Mumbai immediately. We all were there in the hospital. At that time, he said that take me home. So the doctors and surgeons and all the people, family members, everybody said, no way, you're not in fit to, because the few days, uh, so then he said, doctor, whatever medical science is to offer, you have tried, right? Nothing more can be done. Doctor said nothing more can be done. Now it's up to the God and so on. So he said, okay, then let me do what I want to do. We took him home, we put him in ambulance, and when he came home, that time, then he started fasting. That system is called Santhara.
Yes.
Santhara is a kind of samadhi where a person willfully will start fasting unto death.
Okay.
So the person who starts the Santhara do not know how many days the fasting will last.
Okay.
But to our all surprise, after few days, he became absolutely all right. The same doctors, they came, checked. He said, this person is absolutely all right. So everybody said, why you want to now end your life by fasting? So he said, no, this is a vow. Once taken, you cannot break it. So 10 days passed, no food, only water. 20 days passed, 30 days after 1 month, also he was living. The body was almost like skeleton because no food. But to our great surprise, he was full of energy. You see, we could see that spiritual energy. He would give uh, lectures, Vyakhyan, 1 hour. People would come for darshan, and one very nice thing he did. All those people who came to meet him, to greet him from the industry world, because he was a great industrialist of his time, from the community, whoever comes, hundreds of people, there was a queue. And he told one thing to everyone: oh, you come to say goodbye to me, give me something. Everybody was surprised. What do you want? He said,
Okay.
you leave one bad habit. We kept a book at the entrance. Everyone who came wrote something. Many people stopped smoking, chewing tobacco. Many people did something or other to leave something bad. And he said, I want you people to understand. And then he was explaining the spirituality, that is applied religion. So religion as rituals, we should go beyond that and understand the spirituality part. And he was explaining is, but his mind was sharp. His body was absolutely gone. He was able to do crossword puzzle of, I have seen him of Times of India during that
Okay.
Santhara days. After
Okay.
41 days, he passed away.
Okay.
So he was admitted on 4th October 1993 in ICU, and he took Santhara on 7th October in 1993. And during that time also, lot of newspaper headlines were there. There's a newspaper Midday.
Yes.
The headline was, the men who strode the corporate corridors now waits to cross the final threshold. And
Okay.
there were television channels, they came for interview, and he said, I'm not afraid of death. So that kind
Okay.
of spirit was there. And it was very different. The ATN, Asia Television Network, made a documentary film. And then this was there in 1993 November everywhere. And then basically he was a kind of example as how a person can die gracefully, and the attachment of the materialistic world, being the managing director of Bharat Bijli Limited. Now it's a 928 crore company. It's one of the
Yes.
leading motors and transformers manufacturing company. But when he renounced all that, so this is something which is very, very different, very, very different, which we don't
Okay.
see commonly. So the bottom line is basically the soul never dies, and
Yes.
we believe in life after death. There are many books also, life after life, life after death, and in the Hindu philosophy we all understand. So when we say we all understand, we have been listening, we have been reading about it, but this person, he put it in the practice and he understood, we all understood. And those 41 days in front of us was very different, very different. It happens in the family, so it became kind of, I would say, a festival, a celebration when he passed away.
Okay.
Thousands of people, I think more than 2,000 people came for his palki. The palki is something when the person dies, passes away after the Santhara. We make him sit in the chair and then take him to crematorium. So
Okay.
in Mumbai, it was unprecedented. Nobody had seen this kind of thing before.
Okay.
After this, we all now understand that whatever is there in the life, we need to have the understanding of the spirituality. This is
Okay.
very important. Yes,
Okay.
it is amazing journey, and we need to understand the basic of all this life and death. This is how the thing is, Kirti. Yes.
Okay. I have one more question to ask you. Like Jainism uh, permits Santhara. I just want to know, like, see, Santhara is a final journey that a person or an individual voluntarily sets himself on or herself on. Like, is this scientific? Like, leading ourselves towards the end? Like, I don't know, like, what to say. Many a times we are being told that we are not supposed to decide our end. We ethically are not permitted to take our own life. I don't know in what words to ask you this question, but we are not supposed to take our own life. But then how does Jainism look at this? Like this practice of Santhara, we have been hearing about it. Today we had a very close discussion about it and we really understood like what it is all about. But how does Jainism look at setting oneself towards the final journey?
Right. In those days also, during the Santhara, there were many discussions, because there is a very thin line between suicide and Santhara.
Yes. Okay.
You see, suicide is done by cowards, people who are fed up and try to end the life. But Santhara is done with full knowledge and understanding without being afraid of death. So yes, it is a debatable point. Lot of
Yes.
controversy and debate has been going on, and finally, even the legal system has understood and accepted this is not suicide, nor it is a cowardly act. In fact, a person has to be extremely courageous to think like this and act like this.
Yes.
So it is very confusing sometime, and people misunderstand this. Uh, but we need to understand in a right perspective, and that is why I thought of sharing this Santhara story today, because it is not something which is common people talk about. And as
Okay.
you said in the beginning, art of living and science of living, we all understand, we all know. Because we have to carry on with our daily whatever
Yes.
work we are doing. But at the
Yes.
same time, we have to keep this in mind. So
Okay.
because it was observed that his spiritual power we could see because of the meditation, the spiritual energy which develops. But normally, otherwise, after 41 days of fasting, the person would be
Yes.
absolutely, uh, even for 10 days, 15 days, if the person is not eating, you know how it feels. But
Yes.
he had absolutely fine memory, proper understanding. He was able to recognize people who would come to meet him, talk
Yes.
with them. So it is that we can see the spiritual energy
Okay.
which happened in front of me, front of my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, sir, it was an extraordinary journey of an extraordinary man, like who started with his entrepreneurial achievements and later on moved to this spiritual aspect of life. But then this is something extraordinary, an extraordinary story that we discussed today. But then coming to the ordinary people like us, you come from an extraordinary family, both as far as entrepreneurial background is concerned or the spiritual background is concerned. But coming to ordinary people like who are on their final journey, do you feel that we need to be sensitive enough to help them to have a graceful end, to help them, to support them in their final what to say, the final period? Because usually what happens is that uh, people parting abruptly, maybe in young age, that is something different. But then people who complete their journey, complete their youth, complete their childhood, complete their youth, and then they come to the old age, and then finally they are on the final journey. Like we know that after a particular period of time, people are on their final journey, they are getting older and older. How do we make ourselves sensitive to support people around us, maybe our loved ones, our near ones, in this final period? Because this is something very different for ordinary people. Many times, a person feels very lonely during this time. I feel it is a difficult time for people who are towards the final journey of their life. How do we become sensitive about this part? Because I feel this is something very important. What would you suggest? What advice would you give to all of us?
Right. So we need to understand our existence, our conscious energy, what we call soul, and all the other things like our body, all our materialistic, possession, physical things. That is different. So living and non-living, there is a very big basic difference we need to understand. And the karma theory. Maybe at some other time we will discuss about karma theory,
Okay.
but it is important for us to understand that there are 8 kinds of karma, and the attachment of this karma is the cause of life and death cycle. So many religious talks the same thing, but most important thing is applying this in your day-to-day life.
Okay.
I know it is difficult for me, for a lot of people talk, but to put it in practice, it's not easy. I also find it difficult, but we need to try. We need to go towards that goal and understand. So the attachment part, attachment to the worldly things, we need to renounce at some point of time. Nobody is able to take the whatever possession or wealth or property you have in the other life, in the next life. So
Yes.
in the next life, the currency is different. When you travel from one country to other country, from India to USA, you need to exchange from rupee to dollar. So the currency which works there is very different. So what we take
Yeah.
and convert in, and what we take it in the next life. So this is very complex but very scientific, very nicely explained. And what he was doing was he was understanding this, and then when he renounced all this, we understand that yes, this is the fact which we need to accept and understand. So the religion part, the what we call samajik dharma is different, and the atmic dharma, that is different. What we do
Yes.
for our own self, the relatives especially. No doubt, when someone very close relative passes away, we are all sad, we are all unhappy.
Yes.
We don't celebrate, we are mourning. But we, at the same time, when we understand that it is not the end of that soul, soul never dies. So this is the fundamental thing which we need to keep it in mind. Yes.
Yes.
I think the time is up. I need to
Yeah.
say bye. And I really thank you very much, Dhanyavad, to take up this kind of discussion today, Kirti.
Yes,
Bye.
we appreciate and applaud you for carrying the legacy forward. Like you are reaching out to people and making them aware about meditation practice and the scientific way of doing meditation, and probably this will help all of us to improve the quality of our life, because we need to improve as far as our thought process is concerned. We have to improve as far as our perspective of looking towards life, and today we have talked about our perspective towards death also. So a big applause and a lot of appreciation from all of us for making us aware of meditation and how meditation can help us not only to have a better life but also to lead ourselves towards our final journey of life. Friends, our intention on this episode was not to discuss any practices pertaining to any religion. Health Method Scientific Meditation channel believes in the science of life and also in the science of death. We believe and we accept Einstein's principle of energy, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Energy simply transforms from one form to the other form. Birth is a process when an energy takes a form, gets into a